Hello and welcome to the Graphic45 YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted here on YouTube, and today I am leveling up the Floral Pocket Card. And I'm starting off with some heavyweight cardstock that I've cut to 4 1/4 by 11, and that will be my card base. I am crafting with the Little Things collection, and so I've got a couple of sheets. This one's a brand new sheet, but the rest are scraps. So that first panel I cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Today I'll be making a US A2 size card, so that's one difference from the original Floral Pocket Card design. And this is just a bit of scrap left over. I am cutting it down to a width of 4 1/4, but the height I will kind of measure to fit, and you'll see what I mean in a moment here. Then I have another bit of scrap here that I will use, and for now those will be my pieces. This is going to be a US A2 top folding card. So along the 11-inch edge, I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And from one US letter sheet of cardstock, I can get 2 card bases, but today I'm only going to be making 1 card. This first panel here is going to be the first of 2 pockets. So that's another way that I'm altering the original design. So from that top left corner, I put a pencil mark at 3/8 of an inch to the right. And from the bottom right corner, I'm putting a pencil mark at 2 3/4 of an inch up from that bottom edge. And then I'm going to line up those 2 pencil marks on my cutting track, but I'm not going to cut. I'm actually going to just use that cutting track as a guide, and I'm going to score along that line. I'm using the cutting track because it's just easier for me to see that I've got the 2 pencil marks in the same track. For me, it's a little bit harder to do that using one of the scoring tracks. And in fact, what I really meant to do was score this from the back side of the pattern paper, because it's that green side that I want to be the front. And whenever I fold a score line, I always fold it as a mountain fold. So anytime I need a valley fold, all I do is just flip to the back side, and then I fold it, score it, from the back. So I thought I would put my diagonal on a little bit of this wonky skew here. And of course, you can always change that to fit. If you wanted it really straight and perpendicular, you could definitely do that. I just like that more casual folded corner look. So for the red piece of cardstock that I have, and it's not strictly red, this is one of the pattern papers that comes from the collection. What I want to do is, because I'm using a bit of scrap as my bottommost layer, I just want to really make sure that this red layer here, that it's going to cover. So I'm putting a pencil mark so that it is inside the edge of my the pattern paper that's beneath it. That way I can be certain that my middle layer here, the red layer, will cover the layer below it. So that's how I'm determining where to put my pencil mark. Of course, if you're not using scraps, you can actually adjust this to whatever aesthetic pleases your eyes. But I do like to try to use up all of my scraps, because Graphic45 paper is just so gorgeous. I don't want any of that to go to waste. So I put my pencil mark there. Then the next thing I want to do is this red layer is going to be my second pocket, but I want it to be folded at the same angle as the first fold that we created. So all I did was I just lined up my first layer, made sure that it was flush on the left and the right, because both panels have been cut to 4 1/4 inches wide. And then I just pushed my top layer up until that diagonal line meets up with my pencil mark at the top. And then I'm putting another pencil mark at the bottom edge where that diagonal line crosses the side. So that way I am able to transfer that exact same angle from my top layer to my second layer. And when I fold the second layer to create my second pocket, it's going to look nice and parallel to my topmost layer. So this is again one of those things that you can customize, and it's the easiest way I know to transfer that angle, so you don't have to worry about, creating, wonky angles if you want. It's going to be easy to transfer that angle to your second pocket. You don't really have to do any measuring. You just need to line up your two pieces. And for this one, I'm going to fold it backwards because I want that more or less solid strip of red. It helps to break up the patterns a little bit. So instead of folding it forward like I did the topmost layer, I just folded it back. The reason why I didn't cut it off completely is because the Graphic 45 papers are white core, and I don't want that white edge showing. So by folding it, I do get a cleaner finish, and it doesn't expose that white core. And then here I can just chop off the bottoms because all I need is for it to be tall enough to not show the edges. And so now I can actually put all of my layers down. So this is the bottommost layer, which started out as just a bit of scrap. And then this is my second layer, which again, another bit of scrap. Originally, I just cut this to the width of my card base, so 4¼ inches wide. And using my topmost layer, I transferred that diagonal fold to this layer. And this is going to be the second pocket. And because it's a pocket, when I glue this down, I only want to glue the two edges and the top of this. That way, I can slip something behind this, and it can actually go all the way down to the bottom if I want. So that's why I left the bottom edge open and didn't put any glue there. That way you can put taller items like maybe a bookmark or a tag. And then here we have our final and topmost layer, and similar to the second layer, I just want to put glue on the top and the two sides. However, this one I do want to put some glue at the bottom because otherwise whatever you put inside could fall all the way through. So this is the layer that's going to keep everything contained in our pockets. So I'll get that lined up on my card base and make sure that I'm burnishing everything nicely. And I like to use a nice liquid glue because once it's dry, it'll be completely dry, and anything that you put into the pockets, you don't have to worry about it maybe getting stuck in some of that dry adhesive if you were to use, say, a double-sided adhesive tape. Now, looking at a few more scraps, this one I've been using just to test and to illustrate that you can slip something in behind these pockets, but as it turns out, it's actually got a really nice sentiment on it, and it works out well to be a nice little border strip. So I decided that I'll audition a couple other options, but ultimately I decided to use this bit of scrap on my card. And so I'll keep that, and I'll search for some other border strips. And the one that I ended up going with was this very, very thin bit of yellow here. And it's probably meant to maybe be combined with the section above it. But I wanted that touch of yellow because On our first pocket that's folded over, there are some really pretty yellow flowers, and I just wanted to bring some of that bright yellow into another place on this card. So I'm going to trim down this first border. Again, this is going to stretch all the way across, so this will be 4¼ inches wide. And then this thin strip of yellow, I'll just add right on top of it. So it's another nice little bit of accent. So I really love the Graphic 45 paper pads and paper collections because they are designed so well. You do get a lot of different elements that you can kind of use however you need in your designs. So once I get this on, and I can trim off the edge, and then I'll just glue this whole border to the bottom of my card. And that is your basic double pocket USA 2 size card. So I kind of like that corner being folded on that bit of a wonky edge. It's just something a little bit different, a little bit fun. And now I get to create some things to actually sort of stuff into the pockets. So here I'm working from the 8x8 paper pad, and there are a couple of cut aparts that I wanted to use because they have some really nice sentiments on them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trim this down a little bit because I have a tag punch that can create or punch the top sort of decorative edge of a tag. And it can take 3 different sizes, 2½ 2 inches wide and 1½ And so I thought that I'll use this. The first tag will be the full 2½ inches wide. And it's so convenient because it gives you that really nice kind of curvy, decorative edge at the top, plus it punches out the hole. And it really actually works out perfectly for this particular cut apart. And so I'm going to punch a second layer out of, again, just some leftover scraps. And that way I can double up my tag, but also I can make it so that that nice professional edge when you cut is on the outside and of the front and the back. And so I'll glue this cut apart to the front. And so now we have like a really kind of substantial tag here. It ultimately ends up being, most of it is actually 3 layers of pattern paper, and Graphic 45 paper is nice and thick. It's a good lightweight cardstock. Then I've got a second cut apart here, which I'll trim down. I actually want this one to be, I don't want both tags to be the exact same size. So I'm trimming this so that it's a bit more narrow, and that way it will fit onto a 2-inch wide tag. And I'm going to use that exact same tag punch to create the tag top. The nice thing about the punch is that you can actually make the tag any height that you want. So I think that's pretty convenient. You just need to start with a strip that is one of the 3 widths that it's designed for. So 1½, 2, or 2½. And then you can cut it down to length however you like. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one as well, where I will actually punch out a second tag, and that way it just makes the whole thing feel a little bit more substantial and a little bit more structured, so that as you're pulling it out, it doesn't feel flimsy. And this time I'm gonna actually use a different color, and you'll see in a moment I actually glued this on the wrong side. So I want that green side to show. So that was a bit of a mistake there. Thankfully, I caught it in time before that glue dried, and I was able to remove the tag. I still have a lot of glue marks, but the good thing is that my cut apart will cover up most of that. And then once this glue dries, it will dry clear, but you'll probably see a little bit of that residual glue. So I just used a gum eraser once it was dry to really remove it. But once I got some ribbon through the hole of the tag, it really isn't all that visible of a mistake. So I've pulled out some trim also from Graphic45, and the two colors that I thought would go well with these tags were a bit of red and a bit of the classic ivory. So I'll go ahead and just sort of cut a little section here so that I can finish off the tags. It also serves two purposes. One is that it will make it a little bit easier for the person who gets this card to actually pull these tags out. And then also not so much with the larger of the two tags, but the smaller tag does have the potential of slipping too far down into the pocket, and then it might actually get lost in the pocket and be hard to pull out later. So with that bit of ribbon there, because of the thickness of it, it's going to prevent the tag from slipping all the way to the bottom of the card, and it'll keep it so that it's a portion of it will always sort of hang outside the pocket. So the ribbon is decorative, but it's actually serving a couple of functional, practical purposes as well. And so I'll go ahead and stuff those in, and then I want to add another sentiment to the front of my card because I felt like it just needed another element on here. And so with I think these days with all of the collections, a coordinating stamp set has been released with it. And so I just took the coordinating stamp set that comes with this paper collection and stamped it out, and then I did stamp it onto white, but I am sort of distressing this a little bit with some of the Graphic45 hybrid ink just to bring it down to more of an ivory, which matches a little bit better the pattern papers because there isn't a lot of like bright stark white. So I did distress that a little bit, and I've mounted that onto another bit of leftover pattern paper just to create a little bit of a border around my sentiment. And then I'll go ahead and find a home for it and glue this down. And that will complete my USA2 double pocket card. I hope you enjoyed this leveled up version. The original design was from the Graphic45 Card Kit Volume 1 of 2023. And in that version, it featured the Flower Market collection and was a 5x5 square card. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.